Hi, this is Susan Kidler from Delivering Dreams International Surrogacy, and I'm here in Kiev with Olga Dachenko. She's a very well-known surrogacy lawyer, and I want to make sure that you can hear some legal and things just about the surrogacy world in Ukraine right from her and not always from me. So first of all, a lot of things that people ask are going through a clinic versus going through an agency because the clinics say and present themselves that they can do everything.
Thank you very much, Susan, for introduction. So my pleasure to talk today for you. And in my perception as a lawyer and as a person guiding a small surrogacy agency, that it is much more reliable and recommended to use services of professional surrogacy agency in Ukraine because we have experience. Yeah, and we have seen a lot of different situations and different legal situations of clients, and unfortunately, the practice goes in the way that fertility clinics cannot cover all challenges of surrogacy process, which need special care, special communication with clients, logistics. Picking up at the airport is not enough, though. They need to inform the clients all the time in a delicate way, and it takes, of course, a lot of time. And to deal with tons of financial issues, and my legal part is not less important. So, unfortunately, the staff of fertility clinics is not capable to cope with all these masses of information. So it is better to to have reliable person, a reliable agency, and to cooperate through this agency and to get all information timely, and just to have somebody on your side, not only medical.
I loved what you said about the boobies. The boobies for the socks. Bringing
Yeah, we have been discussing just a small, very small from my practice on this weekend that somebody has to bring at the very last stage of the process small socks and gloves for the baby. It will be definitely not for the clinic who will rush there. And apple for the surrogate mother who just gave birth and wants something tasty. So really, people. Agency again, and also objective control after upon medical information, because clinic will protect herself. Just do not forget this. And this will be like a third part who has understanding of some processes and can have better control and communicate with clinic on the same level and get information in native language. So that is my answer.
Also, you mentioned about the clinic protecting themselves. I always say that it's actually, as a lawyer, you'll know this, a conflict of interest because they say they're representing the parents, but they're owned
And the surrogates.
Yeah.
From legal point of view, absolutely not right. It is done in the way that clinics clinics do not have agencies, so they do not act as agencies themselves. So if you hear that a clinic has the same name as an agency, there should be separate legal entities. One is clinic and another agency of the clinic, based on the clinic and maybe guided by the clinic, but not clinic itself. It is clinic can only render medical services. That's also very important to understand.
But the clinics or the agencies are owned by the clinic.
And this is also a question.
So if there's an issue, they're being paid by the clinics.
Oh, who knows how it will be better to have some intermediary, which is not like independent legal advice and independent lawyer, which is done in Ireland, for example. So the agency should be independent, like independent player in this program.
Yeah,
I think maybe somebody would prefer, but if you ask what we recommend, better to use. There are a lot of reliable agencies.
When should couples talk to lawyers in the process of surrogacy?
From the very, very beginning, even before the beginning of the process, and with a lawyer in Ukraine and with a local lawyer. And they should understand from the very beginning which citizenship and which passport they would like to have for the baby, and to understand if it is really possible. It is especially important for mixed couples, because in our modern world there are couples who have two different passports, two different nationalities, father and mother, and they live elsewhere and they are planning to move another country, and they think that all these citizenships are possible. And who has genetic link, for example, some countries require genetic link for intended father if he is using, for example, sperm donor, and intended mother has another nationality, then there will be a big question which can be answered sometimes negatively. So better to get legal advice in advance, to know the plan for travel exit process in the middle, for the middle of the pregnancy at least, and to start working on documentation.
And sometimes you need to start documentation during the surrogacy process, not at the end.
Yes, not at the end. Sometimes, for before starting the program, they should know, the intended parents should know which package of document they would prospectively need. If there are some changes, ask once again to make requests again in the middle of the pregnancy, and we prepare here our Ukrainian side from the surrogate mother. Well, a lot of countries require her marital status. When she was, for example, divorced 2 times in 2 different places of Ukraine, German embassy would need, and UK embassy, a lot of embassies would need all this history of her changing of maiden names with apostilles, with translations of all ultrasounds. So it takes time. So if the intended parents would like to go faster at the end, they should prepare earlier at the beginning. It's logical.
Right. I've also seen, and one of the things we work a lot with our clients on is that at the very beginning, not all clinics want the same documents. And some of them want documents, a lot of documents very carefully done, kind of the same as the exit process.
Yes, Ukraine is rather bureaucratic country, unfortunately, and clinics have very strict requirements. And these requirements can depend on the clinic, and can be also explained by the fact that at the end of the process, Ukrainian registry office also would need a lot of paperwork. And if some second names, for example, or middle names do not match, because in America or in Australia it is rather flexible. They marry and then they omit, or they make their first name shorter, or they can just omit second name. So in the view of a Ukrainian officer, it is not one and the same person. So it doesn't depend only on the clinic. Some clients may think that clinics are very picky. No. And it is about marriage certificate and passports and medical indications. So we have our Ukrainian order on fertility treatment and indications for surrogacy. They are also fixed strictly. And so this medical letter should be worded in the way that it matches this order. So we usually help as lawyers, but paperwork should be really prepared thoroughly.
We spend a lot of time fixing paperwork, especially when names have changed.
Names changed.
And yes, there's a lot of name change. We even saw one where the passport was different. So
yes, and also sometimes foreign marriage certificates do not say explicitly that the woman changes her name in marriage.
Oh, they almost never do it in some countries.
Germans do.
Oh, very nice. Well, that's because everything's orderly.
Well, no, for others. Other countries do not, and Ukrainians need affidavit. For the woman that she married this man and she took his second name. So really, paperwork should be done, but it is not crucial. All is doable if it is done timely.
How do you find the flow of information from clinics to patients?
Not very exciting. I would
What does that mean? Not entertaining or not?
lack of knowledge of English and lack of time
No.
also. And I just do not know, but practice goes that the agency should communicate with the doctor, and the representative should accompany the couple to the doctor and explain and put some questions and work out the strategy, PGD, not PGD, how many embryos to transfer, all these questions to discuss with clients who maybe do not. There is a group of clients which unfortunately dealt with infertility treatment in past, so they have some background knowledge. But there are some young couples who never had this IVF experience, and I see always a big question in their eyes, PGD, and when the doctor doesn't have enough time. But knows perfectly what PhD is. It's not a question for him, so it's work of the agency. And then when the process goes, the couple is already at home, but IVF starts. So there should be somebody from the agency who asks when the stimulation starts, how are ultrasounds, when is egg retrieval, so how many embryos were fertilized, which day we start PGD, how many embryos to transfer.
Timing of the whole process.
And the clinics, they are not eager to give this information by themselves, like it is requested.
Most of them are too busy and lack
busy.
the resources, and
So the agency should put clear questions: which couple, which surrogate, which program, and then the doctor can look in medical card and give this information, and it will work perfectly.
what's your best advice to people coming to Ukraine? I mean, Ukraine is a country.
But Ukraine is a country.
People who have never traveled
to come in summer or spring and not in winter. It doesn't come something baby. Yeah.
Do you know I took my honeymoon here in November? That's true love.
November, December, January is only for people from countries where they can see snow. For people who come from foreign countries, it's not good joking about weather. But in general, to try to pick up as much information as possible and just to move forward. Ukraine is a perfect opportunity to build a family. And I feel that, I believe all that Ukrainian people are friendly.
Oh, they are.
And they are
very welcoming.
Thank you. And the medical professionals are, of the top level, and everything will be fine. So no worries. Just come to Ukraine. We'll be happy to welcome.
And there's been so much bad news in the press, but I want to make sure people understand that the law here is very strong in terms of surrogacy and supporting surrogacy.
We do not have much legislation on surrogacy, but our main clue article of Family Code of Ukraine tells expressly that if the embryo conceived by the couple is transferred into the body of another woman, the couple the intended parents are legal parents of the baby. So it is perfect legislation which doesn't give any room for the surrogate to change her mind or to be registered as mother or to go to whatever court. And it is very favorable. And I do not believe that it's going to change sometime. Maybe one complex legislative act combining organizational, medical, and more legal details will be set forth in the future, maybe. But this fundamental side of surrogacy is unlikely to be changed in the nearest future, because we have long-standing practice. There are sometimes scandals, but because surrogacy raises a lot of ethical questions and a lot of agencies, a lot of clinics, it is natural that something may go wrong. But these are occasional situations. So in all, We are developing, we are creating sometimes new legislation. We have a lot of conferences and lawyers we put together and we discuss only how to improve.
Yeah. And like all countries, there's different qualities of clinics and different qualities of agencies.
Absolutely. Clinics, I cannot tell many bad things about clinics because I'm not medical professional. But we have about 50 now in Ukraine. I do not know for America, of course, it's not comparable, but for Ukraine, it's big achievement, and the level of medical services is very high. We just discussed embryology labs and their attitudes towards working with clients. About agencies is really not so promising because there are no legal requirements so far for legal entity to operate as surrogacy agency. So it's like a general company which can do translations, do legal side, and provide just consulting services. And this is very bad for people who are just beginning their way because they really need to investigate and to to hear advice of people who are familiar with Ukrainian surrogacy market. Because unfortunately, there are sometimes even individuals who try to do surrogacy themselves, the whole process, but of course it brings no good results. It is not a job for one person, it is a teamwork which needs concentrated efforts all the time with no weekend and with no holiday. So really.
Anything else you think I should ask?
No, just to welcome everybody to Ukraine, and everybody should keep safe.
Yes, stay well.
Stay healthy, please.